Hello guys, welcome back in Goku Manhwa channel. Let's continue. Back at the home, Seon opened her eyes slowly, as though her mind was trying to catch up with her body. A faint murmur escaped her as she tried to understand her surroundings, wondering where she was. Her eyes blinked several times, adjusting to the light, and then she finally opened them fully. The moment she did, confusion filled her face. She looked around the room, recognizing the layout, the familiar color of the walls, and the bed she was lying on. A sudden shock ran through her when she realized exactly where she was. She pushed herself up a little and said in her mind that this looked like Jungwook's room. Her thoughts scrambled as she tried to place the last thing she remembered. Just moments ago, she was convinced she had been in the orchard. The image of the orchard flashed clearly in her mind. She remembered the air, the stillness, and the intense moment she and Jungwook were sharing there. It wasn't something she could confuse with anything else. She remembered every detail of that moment, the atmosphere between them, and how heavy everything had felt. Yet somehow, she was now here, in his room, instead of the orchard. The realization left her speechless. Her body stiffened slightly as she tried to understand the gap between what she remembered and where she had woken up. While she was still processing everything, she noticed Jungwook walking toward her. He was holding a tray with a brick of medicine and some food on it. The sight of him approaching made her confusion even stronger. He looked at her with a calm expression, as if he had already been expecting her to wake up. He addressed her gently, asking if she was awake. Seon looked at him with a puzzled expression before pulling the blanket a little closer to herself, still trying to understand what had happened. She answered that she was awake but asked him what exactly had happened. Jungwook sat down nearby, keeping the tray steady as he explained. He asked her if she didn't remember anything, reminding her that earlier they had been in the orchard. Seon listened carefully, trying to recall the missing pieces. Then he told her that she had passed out right at the peak of that intense moment. His cheeks showed a slight blush as he said it. Hearing those words made her eyes widen with shock and embarrassment. Inside her mind, she scolded herself, calling herself crazy for passing out at such a moment in the orchard. The realization made her feel even more flustered as she tried to gather herself while sitting there in his room. Seon looked at Jungwook again, her thoughts immediately running ahead of her voice. In her mind, she tried to piece everything together. If she had passed out in the orchard, then Jungwook must have been the one who carried her all the way here and even dressed her afterward. The idea made her cheeks warm. She imagined him lifting her onto his back, her arms hanging loosely around him while he tried to keep her steady. She thought to herself that she must have been so heavy for him, and yet he still managed to bring her home safely. While she was lost in that flustered thought, Jungwook spoke again. He said it was the first time for him. Seon looked at him with confusion written clearly across her face, wondering what he meant by that. Before she could ask, he continued with an apologetic tone, saying that he was really sorry if his clumsiness had caused her to pass out. He explained that he had not been able to look her in the eyes because he felt so embarrassed. Seon was startled, repeating the word in her mind, trying to understand. Then it struck her. She thought to herself that it was Jungwook's first time. The realization made her heart skip because it felt completely unexpected coming from him. Jungwook spoke again, saying that she must have had plenty of experience, and that because he was clumsy, it must have been difficult for her. He apologized once more, sounding almost guilty. Seon stared at him, surprised by his assumptions, trying to process what he had just said. She asked him what he meant, still shocked. He looked at her seriously and explained that it had been her first time. Hearing that made her even more confused, and she asked him what he was trying to say. He replied by referring to everything they had done earlier, implying that she had never experienced anything like that before. She looked at him in disbelief and asked if he truly meant that he himself had no experience with women at all. Jungwook looked shy, which was unusual for him and surprising for her. Seon could hardly believe it. This was the same Jungwook she remembered from school days, the one who always drew attention, the one girls used to have crushes on, the one everyone liked. It didn't match her image of him at all, and for a moment she kept picturing him back then, surrounded by admiration but apparently untouched by it. He didn't say anything, looking almost speechless. Despite her shock, Seon admitted softly that he had actually been really skilled. She said that compared to him, she herself had been the clumsy one. Jungwook looked confused when she said that, not expecting her to say such a thing, and the moment settled between them, filled with quiet embarrassment and lingering tension. Seon finally admitted softly that she had been the one who was actually inexperienced. The moment the words left her, Both she and Jungwook fell silent. A brief pause settled around them, and they just looked at each other, stunned in the same way. It felt like the kind of moment where everything made sudden sense, but neither of them knew what to say first. Then Jungwook spoke up with sudden excitement, reminding her that she had earlier said it wasn't her first time. His expression showed how startled he still was by her confession. Seon quickly responded, flustered again, saying that she had simply been overwhelmed back then and had misspoken. Her voice rose because of her embarrassment, not anger. Jungwook looked confused for a second but clearly happy at the same time, almost as if her answer relieved something inside him. He asked again to be sure, wanting her to confirm it. Seon replied in an annoyed but cute tone that yes, it had indeed been her first time. That led him to another question. He asked how she managed to use the toy earlier. Seon replied that she had already told him she had never used it before. Jungwook admitted that he thought she had been lying. She then explained that the toy was something her team leader had given her as a travel gift, and that she had never opened it with any intention other than curiosity. She hadn't used it before at all. Hearing that, Jungwook leaned a little closer to her. His voice became softer as he said that if all of this was true, then he had really been the first for her. Seon looked away shyly, her ears warming, and she insisted that this was exactly what she had been saying from the beginning. Inside her mind, she wondered why his expression was suddenly like that. He looked unexpectedly cute and confident at the same time, and it made her more flustered. She finally asked him why he seemed so pleased about being her first. His answer came without hesitation. He told her it was because he liked her. Seon froze in shock, not expecting such a direct confession at a moment like this. Then he continued, saying that he had liked her ever since they started living next door to each other. His voice carried the weight of something he had kept hidden for a long time, and Seon could only stare at him as the truth settled in her mind, leaving her speechless. Seon remained completely shocked, unable to form a single proper response. Her thoughts were louder than anything she could say out loud. Inside her mind, she kept repeating that Jungwook liked her. She kept saying it to herself again and again, trying to understand the weight of it. Jungwook likes me. Me. She had never once imagined it that way before. Every time she thought of the moments they shared, she had assumed they were simply being carried by the atmosphere, not something deeper. Trying to steady herself, she finally managed to speak. She told him that she had assumed everything had happened because of that stupid toy. Jungwook reacted instantly, confused and nervous, not understanding why she would think that. He said he genuinely believed she felt the same way, and his words made her heart drop for a second. She wondered internally if she had made a mistake, if her reaction had hurt him. She quickly corrected herself, telling him it wasn't that she disliked him. She just truly hadn't known anything about his feelings. She had never realized he liked her, and it left her overwhelmed. While she was still trying to process everything, Jungwook moved closer to her. He came so close that she had to look up at him. His presence made her breath catch, and the intensity in his eyes made her realize he had been holding back much more than she ever knew. He explained that for the 9 years they were apart, whenever he thought of her, he always ended up feeling this same pull toward her. Now that she was here in front of him again, he said he couldn't hold back, not even for a moment. Seon felt trapped in the tension between them, especially when he pointed out how she had brushed everything off as being swept up in the moment. Jungwook leaned in even closer, and inside her mind she panicked slightly because he was far too close. She told herself to stay calm, to think clearly, but she could barely focus with him right there. Then he pulled her into a hug. A tight, warm hug that neither of them wanted to break. They held each other, their bodies pressed together as if letting go was impossible. When they finally pulled back just enough to see each other, their faces were still inches apart. Seon looked unusually cute and flustered, and Jungwook's gaze softened even more. Their lips were almost touching as the moment pulled them in completely. Then it happened. They kissed, naturally and deeply, as if everything they had been holding inside finally poured out. But right then, loud car horns rang out, breaking the silence. Children's voices followed, and Jungwook's father appeared, giggling and holding a cake with his mother smiling behind him. Seon and Jungwook froze instantly, their eyes widening in shock. They both looked at the door with the exact same fear. What if they got caught like this?